Okay, so Avi Loeb has become really the go-to guy when it comes to Three Eye Atlas, right? It's becoming more and more mainstream. At least more people are hearing about it, talking about it. We did a video on it the other day. NASA doesn't really know exactly what they say. They're like, okay, it's coming in at this point. It's like, well, actually, no, your coordinates are off. It's going that way. And right now it's around the sun. Can't see it. And Avi Loeb was actually on a sports radio show, and they were asking him these questions about Three Eye Atlas, and they asked him his probability of whether or not what he thought if it was actually NHI, right? If it was actually alien life. And they also asked a few other questions about pyramids and other things. So I want to play the entire clip, and then we'll talk about it on the other side. So check this out.
They're very sneakily hiding behind the sun, the aliens. That's what
Exactly. That's the key.
Right.
That's why next week, it's a week before, it's just around the time of Halloween when it will be closest to the sun. So we have to watch out.
Last one from me. For those who are concerned about meeting our interplanetary neighbors, what is your fear level? 1 to 10.
Yeah. So in fact, I defined the scale that is now called the Loeb scale, which after my last name, that 0 means a natural object, 10 means a technological object, and I gave it a 4 at this point.
So it is a 4.
It's a 4.
As on a scale of 1 to 10, it being a technological object from aliens out there. Yes,
Doctor. I have so many questions, and if I had worked harder, maybe I could have gotten to one of your classes. But oh well. What happened with the pyramids? If you had to guess, who built them? How were they built?
Well, that's an excellent question. I'm not sure. We don't have that information. And it's quite possible that on Earth there were civilizations that were very sophisticated, or they had a visit by another, by aliens that helped them. It's just not documented well enough. We can't tell. So the best we can do is just look at the sky and check if there is any evidence for anything out there. I take the approach of a kid, that instead of listening to stories of the adults in the room, we have stories from religions, we have stories from historians. I don't care about these stories. I don't care about the past. I just want to see if there is something right now around us that would indicate that. And that we can do. We can look at the sky. We can all do that.
You are recommending, though, still that we use our vacation days within the next week, just in case.
Yeah, because the future can be very different. I see it as an opportunity, like any blind date. It could make us better if we realize that someone else was more accomplished. And I was jogging this morning before sunrise, and it's just beautiful. If you look at the sky, just look up. That's all I'm saying. Don't focus, because if you read the news every day, you get depressed.
Yes.
About people engaging in conflicts and thinking very small term. And, the universe is far more exciting.
Doctor, I don't want to get too personal, but we have a lot of ladies who listen to the show, and you've offered a lot of dating analogies. Are you solo dolo available for the ladies who might go brain first over appearance?
Well, my wife tells me not to offer any expertise about dating, but I cannot resist that. But my advice to anyone that goes on a blind date is first observe the other side before you have any opinion, before you say anything. And this is the principle that I think we should apply to an encounter with alien technology. We just want to observe it, see what it's capable of doing, try to figure out the intent before we say anything, because we just don't know what will come from the other side.
Which celebrity in the world do you think is most likely an alien?
No, I think they're all terrestrial.
Okay.
I've met many of them actually just a few months ago, and they were quite interested in the kind of things I'm doing. But And also, if you're interested in more details, tomorrow I have a podcast with Joe Rogan, and it should appear over the weekend. So you might want.
I scooped
Doctor,
Rogan. Look at that, Greg.
Yeah, that's pretty good, Curtis.
I mean, it was your idea. Sorry, Doctor.
Doctor, have you ever met fellow astrophysicist Katy Perry?
Oh yeah, what do you think about the Blue Origin? That was weird.
She went to quote unquote space just for a few minutes. And,
I'll tell you, life has been moving at 175 miles per hour for me lately. But one of the ways that I'm able to chill out, unwind, is Cornbread Hemp's CBD gummies. I mean, I really have been able to chill out, relax with these gummies. They're formulated to work with your body, not against it. I'm not a spring chicken, but I care about maintaining my physical and mental wellness. I've been trying to get myself healthy, and Cornbread Hemp CBD gummies, they're a huge part of my wellness plan. They really make me relax. Cornbread Hemp CBD gummies, they're made to make you feel better. It doesn't matter if it's stress, it's discomfort, or you just need to chill out, relax. They use the best part of the hemp plant, which is the flower, for the purest and most potent CBD. All products are third-party lab tested and USDA organic to ensure safety and purity. So, right now, DTE listeners can save 30% off of their first order. You got to head on over to cornbreadhemp.com/DTE. Use the code DTE at checkout. It's cornbreadhemp.com/DTE. Use the code DTE. I promise you, you will thank me. All right, so you hear there Avi Loeb, who I've had the pleasure of having him on this channel, and I knew right away, because I did the same type of thing where you if you ask him his opinions on who did what, or the pyramids or whatever it might be, he doesn't give those types of answers. He goes into the scientific of everything, leads back to look into the sky, and that's really what he's leading with this. And he's been talking to a lot of people about 3i Atlas, and I'm assuming that's why he's going on Rogan, and why he's talking, as he said, he was out there, and I don't know if it was Hollywood or wherever he was, or people were talking to him and listening to him, and interested in this and about what it potentially could be. My answer to that is, of course. I mean, how could you not be? Here's a Harvard professor who is saying that there is, in his scale, a 40% chance, 4 out of 10, 40% chance that this is alien technology. It's a big percentage. That's a big percentage. If you look in the sky, a Harvard professor says, I mean, you hear right away, you hear 4 out of 10, you're like, well, it's only 4 out of 10. 40% is a big percentage. If he would have said, okay, so it's like the probability is maybe like 12.2 that it's alien technology, like 1.2 out of 10. You'd be like, all right, so he's just giving himself a maybe. This is, I think, a way to say 6 out of 10 without saying 6 out of 10. The other thing, though, by saying 4 out of 10 is, as I mentioned yesterday, that if you say 4 out of 10 and you go, okay, look, I told you there's a 40% chance. There was still a 60% chance that it wasn't. It flew by. It went by the sun. It came by. We realized it was just a comet, and it was just a very different comet, and I was wrong. But I said 40%, so the 60% overpowered, and that's mathematically. And so you'll go, okay, but he's been pretty adamant and talking to a lot of people, hence why he's talking to people on sports shows and other things, and they're asking him. Even he made that comment about the vacation and saying, take your vacations now. Does he know more? Does he feel like he knows more than he's actually letting up? The stuff that he's doing in the Galileo project and other things, what are they seeing out there? Are they seeing anything else? They're seeing things that they can guarantee a little bit more, because he said a few interesting things through that interview. And he talked about how, look, maybe it's a good thing that we interact with not necessarily species, he said. I'm misquoting him, but along the lines of interacting with other technologies that are just far more advanced is the basis of the statement, which I think we could all agree with, right? And then the other thing he did, as I mentioned, the pyramids, what he did say, and this is something that we kind of brought up on yesterday's show, was that there is a possibility that, hey, maybe there was another type of, maybe they're aliens or another species or whatever it was that came down thousands of years ago to help build those pyramids. We don't have anything documented to say anything else. I mean, there's things on the walls and written and drawn on the walls and other things, but they're not documented enough to say what it was and what it wasn't. And we, because we can't see things now, say, no, it couldn't be. But the thing I had suggested is, okay, well, maybe back then they're not tracking something that's coming to the planet, and it takes just as long as 3i Atlas is doing, and it lands and it helps and it does this and it advances technologies and all those other things. Is that what's going to happen once it lands here? I don't know. I don't think so. I still tend to believe that it's just a comet. That's me right now. I don't know what else it could be outside of that. I mean, again, I'm not a Harvard professor. He thinks that the thing is moving differently. It's acting differently. It's moving faster. Things are being, I mean, even the post that we read yesterday, how it's being pushed. But the conversation that he continues to have is that, and again, as we mentioned on yesterday's post, that it's hiding behind the sun, that he says, well, by Halloween, we'll get a better look at it and kind of know what it is, because it'll pop out and we'll be able to see it more. But I think that what it's not going to pass by, is it November or December? I can't remember what we said yesterday. But that's when it's in December, I believe, is when it's getting closer to Earth, or when it passes by Earth. We'll have more. I mean, we'll have more of an idea, I guess, by then, exactly what this is. I just wonder, overall, what kind of story this ultimately will end up being. And what I mean by that is something along the lines of the drones last year. It was a big story. We talked about it maybe every day on this channel. We talked about it all the time, the Jersey drones. And I know there's a story now that says, oh, we're responsible for the drones. I'm not covering it because it's such horse crap that someone goes, oh, you know, it's us. We're responsible for the drones. Come on, man. Where were you a year ago? We're keeping it under wraps. Save it. But my point is, we were covering that story every single day. And we're covering 3i Atlas a lot. Now, 3i Atlas will be different because the drones, it's just kind of that easy to trick the audience type thing. Meaning, okay, we're talking about it now. We'll have a statement. It'll disappear out of the news cycle and nobody will bother us about it. We can go about our business, whether it's other technology, whatever it might be, or if it is something that we know about, nobody will ask us. They'll talk about something else. Hey, look, it's a laser cat. Look at that. And then they forget. That's the way that the media works. It's like, oh, we're talking about something at such a rapid pace in a cycle for 48 hours. It's all anyone is ever going to think about. Oh, wait, look at this. Oh, now we're talking about that. Just the way we are as human beings. We just forget about, we forget about it, and we'll have it. Oh yeah. If it gets brought up again, we'll oh yeah. Let's talk about that. But it's a program. So the difference between the drones and 3i Atlas is 3i Atlas will continue to be this story because it's getting closer to the planet. And as it gets closer to the planet, or either does one of two things, keeps on going. I guess one of three things. One, keeps on going, goes right past us. It was nothing. All right. Well, what else? What's the next thing to talk about? And then people will go, Avi Loeb, what happened? He goes, I said 40%, and then he moves on. Second thing, comes here. Avi Loeb is right. It's alien technology. It lands on the planet. The world changes. I mean, yeah, right. Third one that nobody wants to talk about. It is something that is headed towards the Earth, and it could crash into the Earth. Then we have real problems. So that being said, I again happen to think it will be the first one, but as you hear Avi Loeb very, very confidently say that he believes, again, 40%, 4 out of 10, that this could be something alien. And that is, again, very interesting in general, that this is being talked about, discussed at great length. So I agree with him as far as there are so many, if this is that story, the story, it should be the only story at that point. If we do confirm that that's indeed what it is, it really should be that thing that gets the world together. I mean, it really should. The entire world. Will it be? No, but it should be because of what he said in that interview, right? And that's the things you see on the news and everything else. It's so insignificant in the overall workings of the universe and the galaxy. But people don't think about that stuff because not everybody believes in that. A lot of people just believe this is what it is. It's contained. You get one life. Consciousness is one thing. That's all it is. There's nothing else out there. That's it. A lot of people believe that. Hell, so there's probably some people watching this video that believe that. Let me ask you guys this. For those people, if you're watching, who don't believe there's anything else, let's say, when the lights go out and close your eyes, that's it. Dunsky. That's all it is. There's a lot of people that believe that. There's a lot of people who might believe that there might be stuff out there, but it ain't UFOs, there ain't aliens, 3i Atlas isn't that. It's not. Would your entire viewpoint of the world, of your existence, of all of those things change if it was indeed 3i Atlas was alien, it was here to help and give answers? That's what we need it to be, to tell you that. That's the other conversation. As he said, to take vacations and stuff too, because look, the world will change one way or another. The other thing is, what you don't want to think about or talk about is if it is, and it is an Independence Day type situation, then it's like, uh-oh, then what do you do? Then the world really changes. So we hope it's not that, because I think Stephen Hawking was the one who said that was going to happen. Let's hope that's not the truth. Let's hope it's, if it does happen, it's benevolence. But most likely, zips right by. I told you, my thing is I still want to see. I mean, that's the other point, okay, with all of this. Let's again say that 40% comes true, and it's alien, it's something else from another galaxy, another system. They came through a black hole, whatever it might be. And let's say that they have a lot of answers of not only the existence of life, existence here, past things, whatever it might be. Does this tie into any of this stuff with the UAP, reverse engineering, any of that stuff? Or is that all separate, something else? It's all fascinating. I really want to see how this pans out by the end of the year. That's my last question before we go. Something else you could definitely see is that there's no new news on 3i Atlas by the end of this year. And it's like, oh, we're still tracking it. We still don't know what it is. And it's not until like March or April that we find anything else out. Or is it because of the speed that it's already moving on that it's pretty inevitable that the times they say are the times it's going to lock by? Because as Avi Loeb says in this thing, July or Halloween hits and we should get an idea of where this thing is traveling, because as they mentioned, the things, it looks like it's kind of purposely hiding behind the sun, which is also interesting, and a question of like, why is that? So it's very curious, to say the least. So I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. Put them in there. Let me know. Have a great weekend, guys. Appreciate you. As I mentioned, cornbread hemp earlier. I hope that you've been taking advantage of it. It helps us out, and it'll help you out. It'll relax you. I tell you that. All right. Appreciate it.